We rely on them, we curse them when they're clunky, but we mostly just take them for granted. I'm talking about video game HUDs, those little displays of information that guide us through virtual worlds.
Right.
But what happens when the thing that's supposed to help you actually hinders you?
Yeah, interesting question.
That's what we're diving into today, a YouTube video by DougDoug called Mario Speedrun, but every 5 minutes the HUD gets worse.
Oh, I've seen that one. It's a brilliant premise. Doug sets out to speedrun Super Mario Odyssey,
Yeah.
a game known for its fluid movement and precise platforming.
Right.
But the catch is, every 5 minutes, a new HUD from a different game gets layered on top of the screen.
Yeah, I think most of us have experienced a moment of frustration when a game's HUD felt like too cluttered or obtrusive, right? But imagine trying to navigate a tricky jump while also deciphering the dense interface of, say, RuneScape.
Well, man.
That's exactly what DougDoug faces right off the bat.
And that choice of RuneScape as the first HUD
Yeah.
is no accident. It's famous for its complex interface, packed with menus and icons, and just information overload.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a hilarious visual gag, but it also immediately highlights how crucial, clear visual feedback is in gaming.
Yeah, you can almost hear the collective groan from seasoned gamers when that RuneScape HUD pops up.
Oh, yeah?
And Doug's reaction is priceless. He just throws his hands up and says, "Bad Mario, but good RuneScape."
Classic.
It's that perfect blend of humor and genuine struggle that makes this whole experiment so compelling.
Totally agree. This early stage is really about information overload. You know,
Yeah.
Doug's having to sift through a sea of irrelevant details just to find Mario amidst the RuneScape menus. It's a test of his attention and his ability to filter out distractions.
And let's not forget the strategic delay he builds in.
Oh, yeah.
Every time a new HUD appears, he pauses the game for a few seconds, blaming it on lag.
It's brilliant.
It's a clever way to give himself time to adjust to the chaos, while also leaning into the comedic absurdity of the situation.
Exactly. That intentional delay is fascinating. It speaks to the cognitive load he's experiencing.
Okay.
Cognitive load is essentially the amount of mental effort required to process information and complete a task.
Right.
And as these HUDs pile up, Doug's cognitive load is like increasing exponentially.
So it starts with RuneScape, which is already a lot to process.
Oh, yeah.
Then things escalate quickly as he gets hit with HUDs from Persona 5, Fallout 3, and a whole bunch of other visually distinct games.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It becomes this crazy digital collage. And I have to ask, at what point does it stop being funny and just become straight up unplayable?
That's a great question. And the answer lies in how Doug adapts. He starts by trying to adjust the camera, right?
Yeah.
Desperately searching for a clear view of the action.
Right.
But as the HUDs become more obstructive, he's forced to change his entire playstyle.
It's remarkable to watch. He has to rely more on memory, predicting enemy movements and platform locations that are now hidden behind this wall of HUD elements.
He's got a good memory.
And you can see the frustration building as he misses jumps and gets hit by enemies that he simply can't see clearly.
This is where the concept of cognitive load becomes crucial.
Okay.
Doug's brain is being bombarded with visual information, much of it irrelevant to the task at hand.
Right.
This overload can impair decision-making, slow reaction times, and increase the likelihood of errors.
Yeah.
It's like trying to solve a math problem while someone's shouting random numbers in your ear.
Yeah, I could see that.
Super distracting.
It's amazing how adaptable the human brain is, you'd think, with all that visual noise. Doug would be completely overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But he manages to find ways to compensate,
Right.
relying on memory and intuition to navigate the game world.
What's fascinating is that he's essentially demonstrating a core principle of cognitive psychology.
Okay.
Selective attention. It's our brain's ability to focus on relevant information while filtering out distractions.
Right.
Think about being at a noisy party.
Yeah.
You can still follow a conversation despite the surrounding chatter.
Right.
Doug's doing that, but on a visual level,
Yeah.
picking out crucial details
Yeah.
from a chaotic jumble of pixels.
So even though it looks like his screen is straight out of a digital fever dream, his brain is learning to prioritize the information that actually matters.
Exactly.
It's like he's training his brain to become a super efficient information processing machine.
In a way, yes. Now, I wouldn't recommend this as a brain training regimen, but it does illustrate the remarkable plasticity of our brains.
Right.
Think about learning to drive.
Yeah.
Initially, it's overwhelming, but over time, your brain automates processes, freeing up mental bandwidth.
Yeah.
Doug's doing something similar, just at an accelerated pace and with, well, a lot more gun horses.
Hold on, we need to talk about the gun horse. For those who haven't seen the video, can you explain what that is?
Sure.
And why it's become such a hilarious symbol of this whole challenge?
The gun horse is this little pixelated horse that Doug adds to the HUD early on just for fun.
Okay.
But with each new HUD that gets layered on, the gun horse gets progressively more absurd weapons from each game get tacked onto it, a sword from Zelda, a rocket launcher from Halo, you name it.
Oh, wow.
It's this visual representation of the escalating chaos.
Yeah.
And it becomes a running gag throughout the video.
And it's more than just a gag.
Right.
Each weapon on that horse represents another layer of information that Doug's brain has to process while trying to play the game.
Yep.
It's a tangible reminder of the cognitive load he's under. But the question is, how much can the human brain actually handle before it reaches a breaking point?
That's the million-dollar question. We know from research that there are limits to cognitive load.
Right.
When we're bombarded with too much information, our performance suffers. We become slower, make more mistakes, and experience increased stress.
And you can see those signs in Doug's gameplay as the challenge progresses. There are moments where he seems visibly frustrated, especially when a crucial piece of information like his remaining health or the location of a power-up is completely obscured by a HUD element.
Exactly. And it's interesting to see how he adapts to those moments of peak cognitive load.
Yeah.
He starts experimenting with different strategies, like rearranging the HUD elements to prioritize certain information.
Okay.
There's this brilliant moment in the late game where he shoves all the transparent elements to the center.
Oh, yeah.
Creating this blinds effect. He's basically sacrificing his peripheral vision to gain a clear view of the core gameplay elements.
It's such a clever workaround, and it speaks to his problem-solving skills under pressure. But it also makes you wonder, what are the long-term implications of this kind of intense cognitive challenge?
Right.
Is he actually pushing his brain to its limits, or is this a form of mental training that could have benefits beyond just beating a video game?
That's a fascinating question, and unfortunately, we don't have a definitive answer. This is such a unique and extreme scenario that there's really no precedent to draw from. But we can speculate based on what we know about cognitive flexibility and neuroplasticity.
So walk us through that. How might Doug's brain be adapting to this onslaught of visual information? Are there any potential benefits to this kind of mental exercise?
Well, one possibility is that he's strengthening his ability to filter distractions and focus on relevant information. This is a crucial skill in our increasingly digital world,
Yeah.
where we're constantly bombarded with notifications, ads, and other visual stimuli vying for our attention.
It's like he's training for the ultimate attention economy, where the winner is the one who can best manage the relentless flow of digital distractions.
Precisely. And there's some evidence to suggest that engaging in mentally challenging activities can actually lead to structural changes in the brain,
Wow.
particularly in areas associated with attention working memory and executive function. So it's conceivable that Doug's brain is actually becoming more efficient at processing information and filtering out noise.
That's pretty mind-blowing. So watching Doug struggle through this HUD-laden hellscape might actually be giving us a glimpse into the future of human cognition.
Maybe.
Where our brains are constantly adapting to increasingly complex and chaotic digital environments.
It's definitely a thought-provoking idea, and it highlights how even something as seemingly frivolous as a YouTube challenge can offer valuable insights into the human brain and its remarkable ability to adapt.
But let's not forget the emotional roller coaster that DougDoug must be on throughout this challenge.
Oh, for sure.
It can't be all sunshine and rainbows, right? There have to be moments of frustration, stress, maybe even a little bit of existential dread as that gun horse stares back at him with its ever-growing arsenal of weaponry.
Absolutely. We've talked about the cognitive side of things.
Right.
But the emotional impact of this challenge is equally fascinating.
So we've talked about Doug's incredible adaptability and his brain's ability to, like, filter out the noise. But this challenge isn't just a mental marathon.
Right.
It's an emotional one, too.
Oh, absolutely. You can practically feel the tension radiating from the screen as those HUDs pile up.
It's true. There's a palpable sense of, like, mounting pressure, you know?
Yeah.
Not only is he trying to maintain a decent speedrun time,
Right.
but he's battling this, like, ever-growing visual obstacle course. It's a testament to Doug's personality that he manages to keep things lighthearted.
Yeah.
But you can see glimpses of, like, genuine frustration.
Right.
Especially as the game progresses.
There's this one moment that really sticks out to me.
Oh, yeah.
It's right before the final Bowser fight.
Okay.
The screen is practically a mosaic of HUD elements at this point.
I can imagine.
And he lets out this exhausted sigh.
Yeah.
And says, "This is supposed to be a funny meme stream. This is the most intense Mario I've played."
Wow.
It's like the cognitive load is finally catching up to him.
Yeah.
Even his sense of humor is wearing thin.
That moment perfectly encapsulates the duality of the challenge.
Right.
There's the initial amusement of the concept.
Yeah. The sheer absurdity of seeing all these disparate game interfaces mashed together.
Yeah.
But then there's the reality of actually playing the game under those conditions.
Yeah.
The mental strain,
Yeah.
the constant need to adapt, and the very real possibility of failure.
And yet he perseveres.
He does.
Even when he's cursing the gun horse and questioning his life choices, you can see this underlying determination to see the experiment through to the end.
It's inspiring in a weird way.
Yeah, it is.
It speaks to his resilience, his ability to find humor even in the face of adversity.
Mm-hmm.
It's a valuable trait to have, not just in gaming, but in life.
True.
We all face unexpected challenges, moments where it feels like the metaphorical HUD of life is getting a little too cluttered.
Right.
Doug's approach, his ability to laugh at the absurdity of it all while still pushing forward,
Yeah.
is a powerful reminder that sometimes the best way to deal with difficult situations is to embrace the chaos and find the humor in it.
It's a good point. And maybe, just maybe, there's a lesson here for all of us in this age of information overload.
Interesting.
Doug's challenge, while extreme, is a reflection of the digital landscape we navigate every day.
For sure.
We're constantly bombarded with information notifications and stimuli vying for our attention.
Yeah.
Learning to filter out the noise,
Right.
prioritize what's important, and adapt to ever-changing interfaces is becoming a crucial skill.
Absolutely. And beyond the cognitive benefits, there's something to be said for the emotional resilience Doug demonstrates.
Yeah.
His ability to laugh at the absurdity of the situation, to find joy in the challenge itself, is a valuable reminder that even when things get tough, it's important to maintain a sense of perspective and not take ourselves too seriously.
It makes you wonder, what if we all approached our daily challenges with a little bit of that DougDoug spirit?
I like that.
A willingness to embrace the chaos, find the humor in the struggle,
Yeah.
and keep pushing forward even when the metaphorical gun horse is staring us down.
It's a thought-provoking ideas. And maybe a little bit of HUD chaos is just what we need to train our brains and our spirits for the complexities of the modern world.
Well, after witnessing Doug's triumph over this visual cacophony, I'm starting to think he's onto something.
Me too.
He set out to entertain us with a silly experiment,
Yeah.
but he ended up giving us a masterclass in adaptability, resilience, and the power of humor in the face of adversity.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most profound insights come from the most unexpected places.
Yeah.
Who knew a chaotic Mario speedrun with a gun-toting Momoto riding a gun-acorn could be so thought-provoking?
It just goes to show you never know where you'll find your next deep dive.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us on this one.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time.